So we tried. They got a couple of rooms got hotel rooms. The ones with kids got hotel rooms. The ones without kids is not.
They're nice.
And so, actually, I don't know if I told you, the San Diego Rescue Mission closed. Yeah, the 30-day emergency shelter. So now there is nothing for women. We have to go on a waiting list. It's a problem. It is a problem, and it's something that I don't know how to address. I'm just trying to address that. Okay.
You're not my spot. Thank you so very much. You're welcome.
Welcome to the City of Burrell's regular city council meeting. I would like to remind everyone to please silence your cell phones. Thank you. City Clerk, will you please call the roll of the city council members to go on the record as in attendance?
Councilmember Snow?
Here, thank you everyone for coming out.
Councilmember LeBaron?
Councilmember LeBaron, it's nice to see a room full of people. Welcome.
Councilmember Gastil? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza?
Here.
Mayor Vasquez?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you so very much. I will ask Councilmember, well actually, Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza to lead us in the pledge. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Madam Mayor, we have no changes to tonight's agenda.
Councilmember LeBaron.
Thank you, Rachel. I would like to pull agenda item number 1B. That's the City of Blooming Grove payment plans. And if I could also, I'd like to ask if we could pull item number 1D, authorization to submit a grant application to the Department of Justice for the Justice Assistance Grant. If we could pull that so we could just briefly discuss that, have staff go over it a little bit more publicly, that'd be great. Do I have anybody's approval to pull those two items from the consent calendar?
I would like to support her in 1B, and if she has anything specific on 1B that she wanted to talk about, if she has it already, share that, if not, then I don't support 1B.
For pulling item 1B, I'd like to talk about the largest expenditures that are on the payment demands. Do you support pulling it so we can discuss the largest expenses?
Can you identify which ones those are?
Yeah, any legal ones?
There are no individuals.
Okay, so the next two most expensive charges, do I have your support in talking about those publicly?
What are they?
Well, they're on the consent calendar, does it matter what they are?
So you haven't read it, you don't know what they are?
Well, I wanted to discuss all of them actually, but if you're asking me for a specific one, whatever the two largest ones are, do I have your support on that or not?
If you can tell me what they are.
I don't know if they are just the two largest ones.
Thank you so very much. What I will do at this time, I just want to confirm that item 1D will be pulled. And then I would like to hear from Councilmember Snow if he would like to support pulling item 1B or not.
Not, thank you.
Thank you. So what we'll do is we'll take item 1D and we'll move it to the end of our agenda. And thank you so very much. Tonight, we do not have any presentations, and so we will move forward to the general public comment portion of the meeting. During the general public comment portion of this meeting, the public may express their concerns not pertaining to items on the agenda tonight. Please note that in accordance with state law, the city council is not permitted to respond to any of the comments expressed by the public. Now, if appropriate, staff will be directed to follow up with the speakers per Lemon Grove Municipal Code, Chapter 2.14.150. All remarks must be addressed to the city council as a body and not to any one individual council member. Each speaker will have a maximum of 3 minutes. When speaking, please observe the green, yellow, and red light timer at the podium. The red light indicates that it is time for the next speaker to approach the podium to begin speaking. We do have a few speaker slips tonight, and so I will start with Truth, followed by Ken King.
Speak directly into the microphone when it's on. Is it on? How about now? Nope.
How about now testing? There we go, okay. Hey everybody, it's been a long time since I've been back to this allegedly roach-infested council. Sorry, I had other goals to tend to, plus this place was pretty hot after what some of you guys did. And by the way, I'm gonna be following the First Amendment in case there's any confusion. Working with the county without the city's consent was a deceptively dumb and political career-ending move. I warned Monica Montgomery step to, but she didn't listen. If I had attended her fun visit, I would have brought some popcorn. See, at the county meetings, people aren't allowed to express human emotions. Otherwise, those supervisors would hear that boo sound every single meeting, like it's a Halloween horror show. Now, at the following city meeting where public times, you didn't make any sense. You said people's testimony will not be relevant to the matters being considered. That was very confusing. It's all relevant. You also pulled a Sean Taylor Rivera, which is way worse than pulling a Lemon Grove for those that don't know, by basically falsely claiming that those done deal sleeping cabins are not in the city's jurisdiction. And recall, you can pass along everybody's comments to the county, but guess what? The county does not care. Didn't you see Monica's newsletter? She basically gave the middle finger to what the city actually wants or needs. And Jennifer, next time you're done, I'm going to recommend that you actually leave the council permanently. You don't get to choose when a public hearing is done. And the mayor doesn't get to choose when a meeting ends either, just because they're getting the criticism that they earn. And Liana, a council member may not choose when they recuse themselves. Where is your guys' ethical conduct? This is from National City's Code of Conduct, quote, all elected officials will represent the community with the utmost integrity. 1, members will work for the common good of the people of the city. 2, members shall treat other elected officials, staff, and the public with civility and respect. 3, members shall conduct themselves in a way that brings pride to the community, and not in a way that brings disdain, embarrassment, or mockery. Members shall perform as role models for the community. 4, members shall support a positive and constructive workplace environment. The city council may impose sanctions on members whose conduct is not in compliance with the ethical standards. Those sanctions may include, but are not limited to, reprimand, formal censure, and removal from boards, committees, and commissions, end quote. So consider that a reminder that this voluntary job is about public service, not self-service. Lemon Grove has no reason to be a city on a path of mismanagement, potential corruption, and a lack of transparency. More good people need to step up and fill all of these seats, because the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people that complain, but how many people are stepping up to fill all of these shoes? Not enough. But to end on a joke, because that's the real important thing. Somebody dropped an eyeball today. Where did this come from? Golf ball. Somebody decorated it.
Thank you so very much. Ken King, followed by John L. Wood.
Can you hear me? Once again, I come before the council and ask for the tiny cabins to be put on the agenda. It's been almost 5 months. I've asked you every single month, several times a month, for challenge here. You look at me when I'm talking. So, hopefully you're not going to. Here's the power that you are. Got it. My other question is, we had a fire the other day down the street from my house. The people's home. the people's house, we're down to the ground. Why is it that we only had one fire truck there? And it's the oldest fire truck that we have. We're spending $6 million and we bring the oldest fire truck to a fire? Doesn't make any sense. The thing was leaking like a sieve. According to the people that live next door, it took them over 20 minutes to get water on the fire. They had time to take pictures though. The 619 media was in receipt of those pictures. Something needs to change. Half of you guys need to go. That includes the city manager. There needs to be an audit. There's money being put in somebody's pocket somewhere. I can't wait for 2 weeks. I can say goodbye and never have to see your face again.
Thank you so very much. Next, we have John L. Wood, followed by Matt Koszynski.
John L. Wood. Campaign signs on utility posts are illegal. They need to be removed immediately. If you're assigned a meeting to attend, a county meeting, city meeting, whatever, like the water district, all the rest of those other meetings that you're supposed to attend, be sure you attend it or have your substitute attend it for you. But you are the front line. If you're supposed to attend the meeting, you're supposed to attend a certain 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 meeting, which you have not done. Whomever you are, it should be removed immediately. Because you're not standing up for us or giving us information from the meeting you're supposed to attend. It doesn't exclude anyone whom they think are special. And we don't want to hear anything from side meetings that you have with private citizens. It doesn't matter. We don't care. We want to hear what you're supposed to be representing us for.
Thank you so very much. Next, we have Matt Koszynski, followed by Brenda Hammond.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Matt Koszynski. I'm here on behalf of ASME Local 127. Just to give an update about our bargaining, we started out in about a year and a half ago, a year from this last June bargaining. I want to report that I think that we had some really tough times, but I think that we're actually getting close to an end. We have our next bargaining on the 22nd of this month. We have 9 articles. 2 of them are minor. Half the ones that are really pending, we don't know on the union side what your side will do. We have not seen anything in the last almost 8 months to a year on some of the stuff, but we're optimistic. We told them we're hoping that we can reach an agreement on these issues. It's not perfect for either side, but we are looking to close this chapter up and move forward. And as I said to your negotiator on your side, we're hoping that in November we can hopefully have reached an agreement to bring it forward. That's my hope, but we'll see what happens on these last 7 articles that I think are the last of the bunch. But I want to appreciate the work, and especially to the council for allowing us to bring forward on the agenda to speak. I think that was very helpful, I feel, and I appreciate everyone's support in reaching this conclusion, hopefully, that we're at. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Next, we have Brenda Hammond, followed by Shane O'Gara.
So, I'm done house sitting in Santee, so I was in La Mesa last week. And no matter what city I'm house sitting in, I see a lot of signs, political signs. And just a reminder that one year I campaigned for 3 people at the same time, 3 different parties, 3 different people. And I made sure the signs were up. I made sure that they were down the next day after the election. So try and get your signs down, because we don't want to look at them after we vote, you know? And also, I heard something tonight. I'm so tired of people saying that they think they know about homelessness when they've never been homeless. I'm going on my 15th year. These people out here are saying that they're gonna do something for homeless people. They've never been homeless. All they wanna do is look good in other people's eyes. They don't know, and they want money for their churches. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Next we have Shane.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you and your churches. Sorry.
Next we have Shane O'Gara, followed by Jason Sunberg.
Good evening, council. I'm not even gonna go on that comment.
Good, don't.
For the past 2 years, I've dedicated myself to serving the people of Lemon Grove through homeless outreach. In partnerships with major funders and strong support
Money grab.
network, we've been able to house residents and offer them a chance to rebuild their lives. These are real people with real stories, and together we've shown what's possible when the right resources are combined with compassionate and strategic approach. I've spoken with many of you and others in the community about the potential impacts of the encampment ban, and now with funding starting to come into the city, it is troubling that my partners and I have been overlooked. Despite the support of 2 major funders and a proven track record in addressing homelessness, we have not been consulted or included in shaping the solutions for this city, and that's truly unacceptable. Lemon Grove deserves better. And this is not about me. It's about the people I represent, the partners I work with, and the residents who deserve to have their voices heard. The issues we're facing aren't new, and we need to be working together to create real change, not standing on the sidelines while decisions are made without us. I am here as always, ready to collaborate. The city needs to build a future that cares for all of its residents. It starts with listening to the people who know this work best. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. The general public comment portion of the agenda is now closed. We do have one more speaker, and that is Jason Sunberg.
Good evening, council. There's a lot of need for planning around our city. There's a lot of issues that keep coming up recurringly that really could be dealt with some longer term planning. We've had like the drive-through issue that upset a lot of people. We have the tower issue that upset a lot of people. We have a lot of proposed projects that aren't really what the residents want, and I think the residents need to have a plan. Either a general plan update or tackling these issues individually like we did with the massage parlor ordinance. I did give the council a draft of a tower ordinance that could potentially prevent residents from having to jump through a bunch of hoops, like my neighborhood had to. I think we need to reform the appeal process for these conditional use permits as well. I saw that at the last hearing appeal, the council leaned back heavily on the planning commission process. But let me just say that the planning commission process is rather one-sided. The applicant gets a full presentation of 15 minutes, the staff gets a presentation, and the residents are only allowed their measly 3 minutes. And the planning commission meeting was scheduled when I told the city I was out of town. we really need a process that's more equal, especially if it's an appeal. I really would hope that you'd look into reforming this process. But I think a lot of this is a general pattern that we're seeing with everybody else, all the rest of the residents here, is that there's a lot of things, concerns that are repeatedly brought up that are just sort of ignored or swept under the rug by the council. And I wish there was another process that we could address them at, whether it's a formal council meeting or a planning commission or some citizen commission that you could enact. We've had families affected by stormwater that are continually brought up. We had all these other concerns, whether it's sleeping cabins or drive-throughs or anything. It seems like residents get ignored, but when outside interests with deep pockets, consultants, armies of lawyers show up, the city is happy to bow to them and give them whatever concern, whatever they want. And make the residents go through a process that's really just a show. Like this issue was already a done deal, and was told to several of my neighbors that was the fact, and that I was doing this for no reason. And I'm really burnt about that, and I really want the appeal process changed so that it is more fair to the residents. We have a motto of the best climate on earth. Well, who's that for? It doesn't seem to be here for our residents. I think we should follow the county, maybe. The county's motto is, the noblest motive is the public good. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And that will conclude our public comment portion of the meeting. And so we will move on to our consent calendar. So do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar minus item number 1D? But before we get there, I'm gonna have our city manager respond to some of the comments that were made during the public comment portion of the meeting. Thank you.
First, I'd like to have the city clerk to address the 2 public comments that were received.
Madam Mayor, the clerk has received written general public comment. Copies of those letters have been distributed to all those seated at the dais, and copies of those letters are available at the public review table.
And then second of all, I'd like to ask the fire chief to address the fire at El Prado and correct some misstatements.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. First, I want to say I am very, very proud of firefighters of Fire Station 10 from Lemon Grove. After looking at the specific details of this call, they went above and beyond what the national standards are. And just to give you the quick rundown, yes, both the Lemon Grove fire engines, fire engine 210 and fire engine 310, were assigned to this incident. They were the first 2 units that got on scene. The call was assigned into dispatch at 7:30 p.m. First unit went en route within 28 seconds. First unit arrived at scene, which was engine 310, within 4 minutes. Second unit arrived at scene within 5 minutes. The major portion of the fire was knocked down or extinguished within 6 minutes of the units getting on scene. That's pretty incredible. The national standard for first unit to get on scene, and 90 percentile time through National Fire Protection Agency is 6 minutes and 20 seconds. So our crews got there 2 minutes before the national standard.
Thank you, Chief. And just to remind the audience, and I mentioned this at the last city council meeting, I've been working with county staff to get a presentation to the city council regarding the temporary housing on Troy Street. When they're ready to do the presentation, they're not ready yet because there's not really a project that they need to present. They will be here to present that project. I don't have a timeline, I don't know what it is, but they promise that they will come to this council meeting and have a presentation.
Thank you so very much. And so, I will now move forward to the consent calendar. And so, for our consent calendar, we actually have a few speaker slips here. And so, I'll call in Truth, who has submitted speaker slips for items 1C, 1D, and 1G, and then John Elwood. Yes, and what I'll do is I'll hold, speaker slip 1D until the end, so, 1C and 1G, thank you.
All right, let's see. The June 18th minutes, we're supposed to start the meeting dead on at 6 p.m., congratulations. But Hot Mess Leona was late again by 1 hour and 30 minutes. So that means a total of 450 push-ups are owed to this city as punishment. Or, I would also accept writing on a chalkboard 90 times that I, Leona, will never be late to a city meeting again. How can you constantly vote no on the consent calendar, but then not even show up for the vote on the consent calendar? And if you can't make it to a meeting on time, then how the heck do you think you're gonna make it as mayor? Don't you live in Lemon Grove? There's no reason you can't be on time. Here's my advice. Tell yourself you must be here 30 minutes early, and then you're gonna be on time. That's actually what I did. I also recommend $100 fines for anyone that's later than 5 minutes. And I do mean anyone. I also, now I think that item 6 was the one I ended up being signed up ahead of time to comment on, but couldn't make the later dated meeting. But you see, I can skip out on council meetings because I'm not elected on the council. Isn't that great? In the city council reports, I noticed that Allison attended several events that had nothing to do with Lemon Grove, including in the cities of La Mesa and El Cajon, and even meeting with the county's Office of Immigrants and Refugees. That's very strange, that latter one. And it's very questionable as to if those should have been attended at the expense of this city, or maybe on your own dime. Maybe some money could be saved there by reducing Allison's meetings and increasing Liana's meetings, who seems to attend no local community events. In the part in the minutes about closed session, there seems to be a grammatical mistake in this line. City Attorney Sankey announced that she was recused herself from closed session item A. Is that supposed to say she had recused herself? Next October 1st minutes, Liana was only late by 2 minutes, and the meeting began on time with all present. That's a miracle. It says for the consent calendar, Liana requested to pull item 1B, and the motion fell due to a lack of second. And that kind of was a repeat that happened tonight. And I pointed out because I've never heard of a council member needing the entire council's permission to pull an item. Pretty sure that has to be honored, even if everyone disagrees with it, thinks it's crazy. I think you still have to honor it. I don't know, maybe there's some kind of a code I don't know about. I would like to know, and if it does exist, I actually would like to see it change, even if it actually makes sense in this case. For public hearing item 2, the minutes say Liana left the meeting again at 6:39 p.m. So I'm going to recommend restraints for future meetings, because impeding a meeting is definitely against the law. If a bathroom break, not a phone call, is necessary, any council member can request a 5 or 10 minute recess through the mayor. Overall, though, I appreciate how the minutes list each item title and the action taken. Thank you for that transparency.
Thank you so very much. Okay, next, is item 1G, so if you can, the time, thank you.
Okay, $60,000 home run settlement with Lemon Grove Little League because of a junk storm drain on Nickel Street. That in January led to erosion and sinkholes. I'm pretty sure I saw that on the news a few times. I'm gonna continue with the jokes, let's just be honest. Lemon Grove struck out again, with a settlement to restore the outfield and to let the city wash its hands of this issue, almost like a storm. Wash your hands in it. Hopefully Lemon Grove Little League sees the offer as fair and doesn't want to bargain about it, because that is a possibility. So I'm hoping this is gonna be a hard lesson about always prioritizing infrastructure, because that's the basic job of government. And it's okay, Lemon Grove's not the only failure. City Sending is the worst failure I've ever seen on that. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Next, we have John Elwood.
John Elwood, this is about the Little League field. Ever since I started coming to these meetings, which has been a very long time, I guess maybe a month of meeting. That's when I broke my hip, and then when I broke my neck. This problem has been going on ever since I've been coming to these meetings. Almost every time it rains, we have a problem with the Little League field. This is supposed to be fixed this time. I don't know how much it's gonna cost, but it has to be rectified or somebody else has to pay for it. But if the city's going to pay for it, do it right this time. Don't do it like you're doing my pump station, on my property. I gave you, the city, the right to put a pipe from the end of my property all the way up to the street. I've asked for the meter box to be relocated. That's never been done, because somebody is afraid of SDG&E, because SDG&E doesn't want to move it. It needs to be moved this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. And so, do we have a motion for our consent calendar? But before we move towards our motion, I'm just gonna turn it over to our city manager to see if there are any comments.
Just the grammatical error that was pointed out by the commentator, we'll fix that, so the maker of the motion can make sure that we put that in there with the change of correcting the grammar on those particular minutes, and we'll get those fixed.
Thank you so very much. And so do we have a motion for the consent calendar minus item 1D?
Yeah, I'd like to move that we could approve the consent calendar minus item 1D, with the correction, the grammatical correction noted.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Gaston. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilmember Snow. I'll ask our city clerk to call the roll.
The motion was made by Councilmember Gastil to approve the consent calendar absent item 1D with a correction to item 1C, which is an editorial change to the June 18, 2024 meeting minutes. The second was made by Councilmember Snow. I will now conduct the roll to go on the record. Councilmember LeBaron.
Councilmember LeBaron, aye.
Councilmember Gastil.
Aye.
Councilmember Snow.
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez.
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez, the motion carries on a vote of 5-0.
Thank you so very much. Next is item number 2, which is the authorization of a change order to contract number 2023-21 with Blue Pacific Engineering and Construction for storm drain improvements at Burrell Avenue and Main Street. I'll turn this over to Izzy Murguia, who is our Public Works Director, to present the staff report.
And then, Madam Mayor, I will need a couple minutes. This PowerPoint slide somehow did not make it.
So, do you need 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Okay, we will take a 5-minute break, and then we will resume our meeting after 5 minutes. Thank you.
what? I told Sheriff Gore. Just money for their frickin' church. That's a pop-up church, it's not even a regular church. Yeah, I'm mad, and I have every right to be mad. Randy, can I talk to you? I've been warned. You already know, don't worry about it. There you go. I was just kidding. I like you so much.
You're not kidding.
Well, you would know, I guess. I'll just do it for you see that last. Oh, she was told. She was told. She sat right there. Oh, yeah, yeah. She I get that. Try to study my pop of the church and said, don't even smile, I'm still up here, I don't know. We're already here. I don't think I can. You have blue jeans, huh? I have blue jeans on, thank you. Yes, I do. And for him to come and say something about, how does he know I was talking about him? His church. His pop-up church. Anger management. When I took that anger management class, I taught them that dropping the F-bomb is not against the law. What's against the law is when you mess with people so they drop the F-bomb. And these pop-up churches, I said, listen, and these pop-up churches, and Bobby Clown starts laughing when he was on the phone. He's known me since I was hot, so he knows. And then this Teresa, can I talk to you? I said, get away from me. You just want money for the homeless as well. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Stop looking at me like that. Have you ever been homeless? You haven't. For your little church too.
I just wanted to let everyone know that we are almost there. We apologize for the brief delay, but I'm hoping that very soon we'll be able to bring up the presentation and continue with our meeting. So please be patient with us as we get the presentation up and running so that we can continue with our meeting. Thank you.
Teresa.
While we continue to, get the presentation up and loaded, what we'll do is we'll continue with our meeting, and we'll go ahead and take item 1D, which was pulled from the consent calendar. And so, I'll go ahead and turn it over to staff, to speak on item 1D. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council members. Item 1D is our annual justice assistance grant that the city applies for. We get about $12,000 or so per year. Traditionally, we have put it towards bicycle patrol for our parks and special events, as well as training for those officers for bicycle patrol. In some years, we've bought some equipment as well as doing bicycle patrol and bicycle training. This year, we're proposing to do something very similar, is proposing bicycle patrol again, and it covers the overtime, the bicycles that we need to purchase or need to fix. They get broken, they are our equipment, they're not the sheriff's equipment, and then training for our deputies to do bike patrol. Happy to answer any questions you have regarding the grant.
Thank you so very much. Before we get to questions, I do have one speaker slip here from Truth. You may approach the podium. Thank you.
That's interesting. I signed up for some item that I don't have a speech for. Interesting. That's okay. Well, I do remember researching this item. I do research the entire agenda. And I remember that it was about the bikes, and I was gonna ask, is there a foot patrol? And it did say that there was a foot patrol. And I'll say, let me find the speech while I'm speaking. Well, maybe not. Oh, there it is, 1D. Okay. I actually like this. I think it's a great program. To have the police riding on bikes around the city so they can actually get a feel for the safety status. Although I would say this is not really a bike-friendly city, despite there being slime green paint on the ground somewhere that nobody uses. I would argue, if I'm gonna have an argument, the e-bikes are a little bit of a fire hazard, so I hope those e-bikes will be kept in an isolated and secure facility while not in use, and they're not gonna be charged while unattended. That's what often leads to fires. You can talk to your local firefighter about that one. Oh, there's another grammatical error in this line. To fund the bicycle patrol program that would deputies on foot patrols to augment bicycle patrols. So I'm gonna correct it. I think it's supposed to say, to fund the bicycle patrol program that would augment foot patrols. So I think this program is definitely needed along with grammatical corrections. So good luck with getting the grant for $11,000 in e-bikes and Bluetooth microphone radios. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And, so I'll check to see if any of the council members have comments regarding item 1D. I'll go ahead and check with Councilmember Snow.
Just only that I'm excited for the program, I'm excited to see the police officers out there on the bicycles and wearing helmets. All right.
Thank you, Councilmember LeBaron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Actually, just as Truth pointed out, I had a question regarding that sentence too, because I can't understand it because of the grammatical errors. I understand that our staff member, Christian Olivas, is the person who put this together. I don't know if Christian is here. I see him here. But if, Lydia, perhaps you can tell me what it's important to understand what sentences mean. So what was he trying to convey in that sentence? Because it's not clear.
Again, what the speaker said was supposed to be the correct sentence structure of that sentence, so it's bike and foot patrol. And there's a reason why we asked that the council try and get us a heads up on the Monday before, so I could have staff available to ask questions if any items are gonna get pulled.
Yeah,
Because not all staff members come to the city council meetings.
Okay, but in all fairness, that's why the appropriate staff, whoever's on the agenda, should be here. That's why they need to be at these meetings, so that if we have a question, like Truth also pointed out earlier, it shouldn't be an issue for any council member to pull things from the consent calendar. Therefore, any staff members that have written stuff that's on the consent calendar should be here in the event that a council member pulls something and they are able to answer questions. But, thank you.
Thank you so very much. And next we have Councilmember Gaston.
Yeah, maybe I get away with it if I say that I think we don't need all the staff here at every council meeting, we have a few staff. But it isn't, there were normal working hours among other reasons. But my question would be about the e-bikes. I have to admit, I'm a little bit ignorant. I wasn't actually aware of them being a fire hazard, and now I feel like I should ask if that's something the city has taken into account, and how, if we get the grant, what would be our plan to make sure that we're not, doing any incendiary activity in our city? That's my question.
We would ensure we work with both the fire marshal and the sheriff's department to put those e-bikes in a protected location, so they aren't a fire hazard. Right now, we're using static bikes, and so this is, the city of Encinitas, and will, based on their experience, use e-bikes for their bikes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
I just wanted to, point out, it's in our staff report, but not everyone here has read it, I'm sure. But we've had this program since 2016. This isn't, I just wanna make sure everyone understands, this isn't a new thing that we're doing. But every year we do, get a grant, and, I think this is a great, use of the funds. And we don't hire extra officers, these are just officers deputies that are on duty. Normally, they're just assigned to bikes instead of.
And Madam Mayor, might clarify, this grant is one of the few grants that the federal government gives us what they call a per capita grant, which means all we have to do is to apply for it and we get the grant automatically.
Thank you. And what it does is it provides an opportunity for those who provide safety to connect with our community
and community members, but to really just, be immersed, and experience what we experience here in our city daily. So I'm happy that this program has existed since 2016. This is something that I hope will continue, and especially since we get grant funding to cover the cost. So with that said, I am going to see if we have a motion for item 1D.
I'll make the motion.
And do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. I'll ask our city clerk to call the roll.
The motion was made by Councilmember LeBaron with a second by Councilmember Snow to approve staff's recommendation. I will now conduct the roll to go on the record. Councilmember Gastel.
Aye.
Councilmember LeBaron.
Councilmember LeBaron, aye.
Councilmember Snow.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez.
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez, the motion carries on a vote of 5-0.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
I do want to, again, apologize for the delay with item number 2 and to thank you for your patience. We will now hear that particular item, which is to authorize a change order to contract number 2023-21 with Blue Pacific Engineering and Construction for storm drain improvements at Burrell Avenue and Main Street. And I'll turn this over to Izzy Montia, who is our Public Works Director, to present the staff report.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. As the Mayor mentioned, the item before you is a recommendation to authorize a change order to the Blue Pacific Engineering and Construction contract for storm drain improvements at Burrell Avenue and Main Street. Next slide, please. There's currently a 30-inch storm drain at Burrell Avenue and Main Street that runs west to east and discharges into a channel area between Main Street and the MTS railroad tracks. The storm drain's outfall is noted by the red circle down the bottom right-hand corner. Next slide, please. Currently, there is significant erosion issues, which is impacting the right-of-way and could compromise Main Street. As you can see in the photos there, the right-of-way, which is essentially the left of the fence, there's major holes and gaps. That should be an area where someone could walk along Main Street. And we're probably a foot away from impacting Main Street itself. Next slide, please. Staff's recommending a change order to the contract with Blue Pacific to repair the right-of-way and enhance the outfall of the storm drain by installing a head wall. I don't have a laser pointer with me, but essentially the area between the shaded red and the outline red, which represents the storm drain pipe currently. The slight area between that's supposed to illustrate a head wall, which currently is not there, but we're proposing to install a head wall there, along with 10 feet of a quarter-ton riprap, which is designed to slow down the water that's discharging into the storm channel area between the tracks and Main Street. The change order with Blue Pacific is being recommended because of the location of the repair. It's currently located in the southern limits of the Connect Main Street project, specifically phases 1 and 2. Contractors currently mobilized as they are out there working on phases 1 and 2, and they have the necessary permits with MTS to implement the repairs. The repairs will be funded from the storm drain rehabilitation funds and will not utilize Connect Main Street grant funds for this repair work. Next slide, please. The cost for the repair is $45,849. The proposed change order would be the first change order with a contract with Blue Pacific. If you recall, the City Council approved the contract with Blue Pacific on September 5th, 2023 for an amount of $2,567,406 for phases 1 through 3. With this change order, it would increase the contract amount to $2,613,255.56. Although under the contract that the council authorized, it allows the city manager to approve any change orders within 10%, and currently this change order is less than 1%. Staff's bringing this contract forward because, one, the work is not directly related to the Connect Main Street project, and two, if we were to present this repair work under a separate contract, we would have to come before the council anyways. So that is the whole reason why we're bringing this change order forward. In conclusion, staff's recommendation is to authorize the change order with Blue Pacific Engineering and Construction for storm drain improvements, Burrell Avenue and Main Street. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Before we get to the questions, I'll check with our city clerk to see if we have any speaker slips for this particular item.
Madam Mayor, we have no speaker slips for item number 2.
Thank you so very much. And now I will check with our council members to see if they have any questions for you. Starting with Councilmember Snow.
I appreciate you bringing this to us and noting the distinction that it's not part of the Main Street project, that this would be a change order, but also trying to maximize the fact that there's already somebody out there working on it. And it makes sense to not have to bring additional materials and people out there. So that will, in the end run, save us money. But I did have a question as to when, on the proposed repairs, were any other alternative repairs considered? And why did we go this route to select to move forward with this type of repair for this site?
Trying to understand your question. This would be the typical design for this type of work, where you typically don't have a storm drain outfalling into a ditch without any water attenuation, and so there's the absence of that. And so this design is specifically put together for this location.
And then about how long will it take to do those repairs?
Typically, really would want to say somewhere between 10 to 14 days. Most of the work would be installing or forming the header wall. So there's concrete work there and allowing it to cure. And then pretty much the only other, not really challenge, but importing the riprap, which is easy to obtain and procure. So I would say 10 to 14 days.
Thank you, Councilmember LeBaron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Questions for Izzy or City Manager Ms. Romero? I'm on page 2 of the staff report under the fiscal impact section. And for understanding that this is an ask for $45,000, an amount not to exceed $45,000 essentially. Under the fiscal impact section, it says sufficient funds are available in the gas tax fiscal year 2024-2025 budget line item storm drain rehabilitation to cover the $45,000 ask for tonight. Would you happen to know, or could you refresh our memory as to how much money is currently inside the storm drain rehabilitation fund?
I'd have to confirm the numbers, but it's for the gas tax or rehabilitation budget in that line item is approximately $200,000.
Thank you, Councilmember Gaston.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
I have no questions.
Thank you, and I will just check, once more, to see if anyone has any additional questions, before we move forward. Thank you so very much. And, with that said, do we have a motion for this particular item?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we authorize change order to contract number 2023-21 with Blue Pacific Engineering Construction, storm drain improvements at Burrell Avenue and
Thank you so very much. We do have a motion by Councilmember Gaston. Do you have a second?
I'll provide a second.
We have a motion and a second, by Councilmember LeBaron. I'll ask our city clerk to call the roll.
The motion was made by Councilmember Gastel with a second by Councilmember LeBaron. I will now conduct the roll to go on the record. Councilmember Snell.
Aye.
Councilmember LeBaron.
Councilmember LeBaron, aye.
Councilmember Gastel.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez.
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez, motion carries on a vote, 5-0.
Thank you so very much. Next is item number 3, which is the California Office of Emergency Services Type 1 Fire Engine. And so I will turn this over to Fire Chief Bennett Bunch, to present staff report. And I'm sorry, it's been towed, is that correct? Oh, sorry about that. Oh, I apologize.
Good evening, Mayor Vasquez, respected members of the council. Before I get started, I want to introduce our Deputy Fire Chief of Operations, Todd Nelson, over here, and Division Chief Chris Case, who are going to be presenting with me. So, we're going to be talking about California Office of Emergency Services fire engine that has been tentatively given to City of La Mesa. And we're gonna get started with the report. Next slide, please. We're gonna talk about background of this program. We're gonna talk about operational overview and needs. And we're gonna talk about logistical needs. We're gonna talk about ISO implications. And then finally, staff recommendation. Next slide. I apologize for the quality of the picture, but this is essentially that fire engine, the type of fire engine that City of Lemon Grove will receive if this is approved by council. So currently, as I mentioned, Lemon Grove has been awarded the Type 1 fire engine from California Office of Emergency Services. And a little bit more on the background. For the past 3 years, staff has sought funding to replace the fire engine in Lemon Grove Fire Department's aging fleet. However, due to more pressing priorities, resources have not been available to support this request. Understanding the limitations of available funding, the fire department, which operates as a team amongst a larger city team of teams, has explored alternative solutions to maintain service levels. The most viable option at this time is to enter into an agreement with the California Office of Emergency Services for a Type 1 fire engine. Cal OES oversees a fire and rescue program that loans vehicles to local fire departments, which can be also used within their jurisdictions. These vehicles must be staffed with qualified personnel, either locally or from other jurisdictions. This program was established in 1951, and it was based on the premise that no single fire department can afford to acquire and maintain enough equipment to effectively respond to major natural disasters or significant emergencies. The vehicles provided can be used for all risk events, emergency incidents, civil defense, and disaster response. Cal OES purchases these vehicles fully equipped and assigns them to local agencies under temporary use agreements, retaining overall control of the vehicles. After reaching out to Cal OES, the Lemon Grove Fire Department has been awarded a Type 1 fire engine. Adding this engine to city's fleet will enhance operational resilience. With the Cal OES engine available for frontline duties, the department will have the capability for repairs and preventative maintenance on its city-owned frontline apparatus. Next slide, please. So I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Fire Chief of Operations, Todd Nelson, to talk about the operational aspect and how this is going to affect what we can do and the resilience of it.
Thank you, Chief. Mayor, City Council, City staff, thank you for the time tonight. I'm going to briefly cover 4 slides. Before I start, I want to reiterate how excited we are to receive this engine on the road. For myself and Chief Co, this will be the 5th OES apparatus that we have either worked off of or see come into our department. 2 of those apparatus have been retired for a number of years. The apparatus that we'll be getting and 2 others, one in La Mesa and one in Oklahoma, will serve our citizens in East County as well as potentially across the state in disasters and emergencies. These apparatus are an incredible benefit to the city of Lemon Grove as well as to our personnel to give them an additional engine to operate when needed. The first slide here is just a quick review of Lemon Grove Fire Station 10 and our staffing there. For us, there's 2 parts to fielding a fire department. And the first part of that is our staffing. Every day we staff that fire station with 6 people. That consists of 2 captains, 2 engineers, and 2 firefighters. Each engine is staffed with 3 of those people. Total, we employ 18 people at Fire Station 10. Next slide, please. For our next slide, this represents the core of my job. The operational goal in the city of Lemon Grove every single day is to staff 2 engines with 3 people on each engine. Every day of the year, 24 hours a day. If someone takes a day off, we need to fill that spot and staff that engine. If an engine breaks down, we need to have a reserve engine available to fill that spot. Next slide, please. This graph represents really the why for that staffing and the why for that apparatus. This shows the call history over the past 5 years. Every year except for 2020, the year that we dealt with the pandemic, we've had over 4,000 calls a year for service within the city of Lemon Grove. Currently, 2024 is trending up a little bit from 2023 and should end up somewhere around our 2022 numbers of just under 4,500 calls for the entire year of Lemon Grove. Next slide, please. Lastly, this breaks down our calls for service by incident type. And these are a fairly rough sketch of what firefighters do when they respond on calls. Nationwide, the medical aids are definitely going to represent the majority of the calls for service that we respond to. Our average typically is between 78 and what you see there, 82%. Our fire average is usually in that 3 to 4.5% range. Currently this year we are averaging just over 4% for our fires. On an average, this represents just under 12 calls per day that the Lemon Grove fire engines and firefighters respond on. Next slide, please. I'm going to turn it over to Division Chief Chris Case.
Good evening. I'm going to talk a little bit about our current fleet and the needs for this OES apparatus. So top line there shows that NFPA recommends that we replace our engine after 10 years of service and then put it into a reserve status after 15 years and 150,000 miles. And standard recommends removal of all apparatus from emergency service after 25 years. You see on the slide there, the age of our apparatus, engine 10 currently is a 2014 model with almost 100,000 miles and it's been in service for 10 years. Engine 210, our newest apparatus, 1 year, and our reserve engine 310 has been in service for approximately 27 years. So some of the problems that we face right now are the preventative maintenance and routine and preventive maintenance schedule. In reality, our apparatus needs to be in every 5,000 miles. If we have one out of service, inoperable, it's delaying that opportunity for us to get them in there for routine maintenance. An issue that we come up with is when an out of service condition happens to one of our rigs, irregularities, problems with pump, steering irregularities, transmission issues, tire issues, things of that nature. And if any of these frontline engines are taken out of service for these larger scale repairs, it's going to prevent the opportunity for us to do routine maintenance. Getting the OES engine will allow us the opportunity to rotate them through to get the service tested.
Next slide, please. Okay, the next portion of this presentation, I want to talk about ISO rating. ISO is the Insurance Services Offices Incorporated. It's a third-party evaluation, a review of fire protection jurisdictions nationwide. Approximately 40,000 jurisdictions are reviewed, and the ratings are used by insurance companies to guide premium rates. Four main components, and really quick, going back to the scale. So there's a scale 10 to 1, 10 being the highest. Currently, Heartland Fire and Rescue, so it takes the three cities to be combined, but between the three cities of Lemon Grove, La Mesa, and El Cajon, we have received ISO Class 1 rating. This is less than 1% of fire departments nationwide who have that rating. Next slide, please. So four main components are involved in the scoring: the dispatch center, the water district capabilities, community risk reduction, and fire department operations. Fire department operations make up the largest share of items reviewed and emphasize having adequate equipment for frontline and reserve apparatus. There is a focus on operational resilience, and ISO strongly emphasizes having adequate serviceable equipment and apparatus. ISO ratings are tied directly to insurance rates, and the current rating is based on all three cities maintaining their service levels. Currently, Lemon Grove citizens and visitors benefit from the city and department's top rating from ISO. Next slide, please. Just to summarize now, by entering into an agreement with Cal OES for Type 1 fire engine, the Lemon Grove Fire Department agrees to staff the apparatus when called upon to fulfill state mission. Cal OES reimburses the city for personnel time and for backfill during these deployments based on existing mutual aid agreements. Lemon Grove Fire Department will be able to use the Cal OES fire engine on a temporary basis in frontline status for fire department's local responses when city frontline fire engines are out of service for repairs or maintenance. So the staff recommends the City Council adopts a resolution, attachment A, authorizing the city manager or designee to accept temporary assignment of vehicular equipment for the purpose of responding to incidents in furtherance of the California Fire Service and Rescue Emergency Mutual Aid Plan, and to execute any documents and agreements necessary for this. Next slide, please. And the staff is here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so very much. And we do have one speaker slip here. So what I will do is I will take the speaker slip, and then if there are questions that emerge during that time, then I'll turn the podium back over to you so that you can respond to the question. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so, Truth? And this will end our public comment.
for this particular item. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, that's pretty good, but it's a temporary fire engine. I think that's the only negative about it. And actually, here's the positive though. It's one of the only good things I've seen come from the state. I could probably list maybe one handful. This is one of them. If they'd always spend money on the essentials instead of the usual pet projects, no city would suffer from fires or slow response time. Can you imagine? Instead of, let's say, a bunch of slime green paint everywhere, we could have more fire engines everywhere. You know, just common sense safety stuff. And it's kind of like the words authenticity, which I've heard. It's something that's lacking at that state level and even here at the local city level. While hypocrisy is actually what's prevailed and permeating some areas of the council, people know it when they see it. It's just like safety. They know it. They know the real thing when they feel it. That's interesting. I didn't get the look I was expecting on the authenticity word. That's too bad. Some people don't pick up on little hints, you know. I like to drop. Inside jokes are fun. That being said, the new fire engine is it's really something we should be celebrating. I feel like there should be confetti, because it's going to be needed for the fire-prone EVs, e-bikes, and other electric mobility devices. George does not know anything about their fire risk, but that's okay, because one of these days I'm going to come back, I'm going to educate y'all on the fire risk, the real-life stuff. Not for me, a firefighter, in fact. And so speaking of that, lastly, a thank you, shout out to all the firefighters, because it sounds like they're doing a really good job. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And so, since there were no questions, but great comments provided, what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and segue to the council members to see if they have any questions for you. And I'll start with Council Member Smith.
I really wish I had brought confetti. It does seem appropriate. This is a huge deal for us. Can you tell us about how much it would cost for us to be able to bring an engine in on our own?
Currently, the inflation that has taken place, the fire engine, or fire apparatus, to replace one of our fire engines, we would be looking at starting somewhere around $800,000 to $1 million.
And from my understanding from the presentation, and having read the agreement, we are not responsible for the maintenance either, that the state is covering the maintenance as well. Do you know about how much the value of what that would be in dollars for us?
I would be speculating, but looking at what we're spending on maintenance, especially on the aging fleet, we're looking at probably upwards 30,000 plus per hour fire engine.
All right, yes, definitely confetti. Thank you.
Councilmember LeBaron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. Okay, so there's the California Office of Emergency Services. They have purchased 100 fire trucks that they then let different cities, municipalities use. The term here is, it says on the temporary assignment of these fire trucks. Today, city staff is asking city council to accept us borrowing a fire truck and be given to us by the state. The staff report says that maintenance costs are going to be paid for by the state. So I have a question. What this is sounding like to me, and correct me if I'm mistaken, this is sounding like this is a lease. So we're leasing a fire engine from the state of California. Am I correct in that? No.
That is not intent of this program. We're not leasing it. State still owns it. State allows us to use it with the understanding that when state needs a state mission to fulfill, we would staff this fire engine.
Yes, because I understand how leasing vehicles works. You don't own the vehicle, you're leasing it, and then you have to return it back to whoever, the manufacturer, right? Nissan, Toyota, Honda. here we're borrowing a car from the state, so at one point in time, we'll have to return it back to the state if they need it. Hence, my mind is going to, are we leasing this? Therefore, I'm wondering if we have lease payments and what are the terms. But apparently we don't have to pay anything.
There is no payment.
Okay, then, okay, so we're not leasing it, we don't have to make monthly payments. How long are we going to be temporarily, we'll have another round of questions. How long are we going to be temporarily using one of the state's fire trucks?
If we enter into this agreement, the agreement's term is 10 years right now. But however, the state can at any point decide that they might have higher needs.
They might have one, so.
Higher needs, and that fire engine can be reassigned to a different agency or jurisdiction.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will do one more round of questions, and I'm gonna go ahead and move on to Councilmember Gaston.
I don't have any questions. I think it's really wonderful.
Thank you, and Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
I don't have any questions either. When I read this, I was just, wow, what a great thing for the girl. So, thank you for, taking the initiative, to get a, move this forward for us and giving it to us.
Thank you, and I'll do the second round of questions, starting with, and it's questions and comments if you have any with Councilmember Snow.
So this is exactly what, as a council member, I would like to see our staff spending their time on, and grateful for our fire team as well. There's $1 million, we have a $21 million general revenue budget. Being able to save $1 million means we get to do $1 million worth more of streets. You would have to find that money somewhere else, because as you saw in the documents, the current one is over 10 years old, and it is due to be replaced. We can't rely on it with any certainty, and we want to be able to rely on our fire trucks. So being able to save that kind of money is incredible. One of the questions I had is, it's not really free, because there's an expectation that our fire department will provide mutual aid. So when there's a big emergency, say Riverside is burning, then we are agreeing to take the trucking with our personnel, go up there and handle that. Is that any different than what we're doing right now?
The biggest difference is we will be responding on a state-owned fire apparatus, and the maintenance costs will be covered by LOES instead of using our city-owned frontline apparatus, and thus not having to incur those costs.
That's pretty impressive. Great, thank you very much.
Councilmember LeBaron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You know, I have about 3 or 4 questions. I don't know if you'd allow me, my council colleagues didn't have any questions, if you would allow me to ask a couple more, but you can have 3 or 4 questions. Okay. Yes. So, and they're simple questions, it would take like a second for me to respond. Would you want like 2 more questions? Because now I'm in a position where I have to decide which one of these questions I ask. I just have 4, they're fast.
It would be a deviation from the policies that we have in place, but as you mentioned, they're short questions, so please make it brief. Thank you.
Thank you. How many, so we have 3 engines currently. Engine 10, which it's a 2014 with about 100,000 miles on it. We have engine 210, which is about 1 year old. And then we have 310, which I believe is like a small truck, correct me if I'm mistaken. That's a reserve engine.
That's not correct. It is a fire engine. It's a Type 1 fire engine. It was built in
miles are on engine 210?
Engine 210, our newest engine right now,
Yeah.
based on the latest information, we have about 9,700 miles on
So like 9,700?
it. Correct.
Okay, so, oh, how many miles are on engine 310, do you know?
If I recall correctly, and then Chief Case, if you want to jump in, I believe it's close to 170,000 miles.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so. Thank you. Okay, so this is a 10-year loaner agreement, essentially, where we're being allowed to borrow a vehicle for 10 years. We're pretty lucky that we're able to borrow a car for 10 years. That's nice. How does the state determine, how do we get to be able to borrow the engine according to staff at no cost? Literally our maintenance, like our oil changes and whatever else the firefighters have to do on this engine. We don't have to pay a dime. How are we so lucky to get that for 10 years? That's a long time.
That is the standard agreement that the state provides whenever they enter into an agreement with local jurisdictions. And I can't tell you the methodology, why we were chosen. One of the things I can share with you, in the other two cities, within Harbor Fire and Rescue, we do have already existing programs, and we do have OES apparatus both in El Cajon and La Mesa. So we do have a good reputation of responding and providing aid when necessary.
Okay. Seems like a huge, like, we seem very, very lucky. I don't know anybody who gets a vehicle for 10 years for free. And so I just kind of want to understand why the state would choose to give us a vehicle for free for 10 years. That's like a huge, huge, huge deal. I guess you don't even know.
The state has a program in which they do this. In my former jurisdiction, we've had the same program. And you have to apply and then work with the state. And as the chief was saying, because we are a part of the Heartland Complement with the city of La Mesa and the city of El Cajon, they've proven that there is a track record to respond when the state needs these apparatus to respond to a statewide emergency. And so when Lemon Grove approached them about doing the same kind of program, because of the track record from the previous two cities, knowing that it's under the same management, they had confidence that we're able to handle the same thing and the same program.
Got you. One more question. So if we were to take this engine, I don't know if we'd be able to name it something else like engine 410 or what we would call this engine, but would that mean that we would be taking one of these three engines that we currently have out of commission, no longer using it, and just using the loaner engine?
This is going to be an operational decision once we do receive this engine, decide, what the service capabilities of it is. As far as the numbering goes, it's a state numbering. We don't get to number it. So we would have to do an evaluation once we receive this engine, because this engine also, it is not a brand new engine. And based on what the condition of it is, we will have to decide operationally whether or not we should hold on to the old reserve engine until we have full faith in being able to let it go.
Gotcha. Where are we storing this engine? Because we currently have 3 engines that we store in that building across the street. Where is this engine going to be stored?
It is going to be stationed out of Fire Station 10, the raised room with additional fire engine.
Pardon, what'd you say?
Fire Station 10, that's the station across the street, yes.
It's gonna be stored in there?
Yes, it's going to be stored inside.
Okay. Where do our other engines also fit underneath? In the
Yes.
garage? So all 4 are gonna fit in the garage?
Yes.
Councilmember LeBaron, thank you.
Can you please wrap it up?
Yes.
I'll
Thank
move
you.
on to, Councilmember Gaston.
Thank you. I think that, that any questions I've had are not necessarily related to the recommendation. which I'm ready to support, but I did want to say, since we also have comments, I did want to say that I think it's amazing that we're in the top 1% among 40,000 jurisdictions reviewed, and I think maybe we should make sure that's in the new city newsletter. That should probably be on the city website to make sure people know this. And it's no surprise, we've been getting really good reports about Heartland ever since it was created, which I think 12 years ago, quite a while back. Thank you for that, and I should have brought confetti. I feel remiss. I'm gonna say that as soon as everybody's said everything they need to say, I'm gonna wanna move the staff recommendation.
And I just wanna check, to see if that was a motion as we continue on with our comments.
Well, I was thinking I should hold, she wants me to go ahead, you probably want me to go ahead. I'm gonna move staff's recommendation, attachment A. I'll read it if you want me to, but it's kind of long.
We need to read it into the record?
Yes, please.
All right, I'd like to move staff recommendation A. Staff recommends that the city council adopt a resolution, attachment A, authorizing the city manager or designee to accept temporary assignment of vehicular equipment for the purpose of responding to incidents in furtherance of the California Fire Service and Rescue Emergency Mutual Aid Plan, and to execute any documents and agreements necessary for this.
Thank you, for the motion, and I'll turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
I'm gonna second it, and I'm just second the George's motion, but I just wanna add one thing. I have nothing but just the highest respect for our local firefighters. I've unfortunately had to personally avail myself of your services at least twice, and I know there's other people here in the room as well. And I've never heard anything but excellent community feedback on our fire department. So keep up the good work, and I'm glad that we have this opportunity to support you guys.
Thank you so very much, and I'll say this, you know, part of our commitment, public safety, is maximizing our resources, and I fully support this, because, you know, what it does is it allows us to utilize our equipment that we have and respond quickly, swiftly, but also provide mutual aid, and just know that the equipment that we do have will be able to have longer service life. And that's important to a small city like the city of Lemon Grove. You see, we hold on to our vehicles for a while. We don't release them early. And we actually take a look at, if you were looking at the slide, you could see that one of our vehicles, which was 310, was actually in service, past its service life, which was 25 years. It actually said 27 years on the slide. And so, you know, it's important that we invest in our public safety component. And this is an investment on behalf of the state that we're so worthy of, because this is what I know. When an emergency happens, maybe your family member has a stroke or a heart attack, it is the firefighters who are the first responders, the first on the scenes before any other form of public safety arrives. And having equipment that allows our public safety component to get there, but also to provide the help that's needed, whether it is a health-related issue or fire, makes the difference between life and death. But also, if it's health-related, the quality of life that you have moving forward. I will always, you know, look out for ways on how we can improve our public safety component.
it truly helps to improve our quality of life. And I'm so happy that this opportunity is provided to us so that that shelf life of that brand new fire truck that we got in 2023, that it just may be extended a little bit longer because we have additional equipment. So I support the motion, and I want to go ahead and ask our city clerk to call the roll.
The motion was made by Councilmember Gasdale with a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza. I will now conduct the roll to go on the record. Councilmember Snell.
Yes, and thank you for saving the family at Palm Street as well.
Councilmember LeBaron.
Councilmember LeBaron, earlier it was said that the fire department's operational goals is to have 2 engines with 3 people on each. I am gonna be voting yes on this. However, I just wanna make it known that we now have 4 engines, and by voting yes, I by no means am intending to have 3 engines be in service with an additional 3 firefighters hired. Because with the firefighters that we have right now, we have plenty to cover with 3 square miles of our city.
We're in the middle of a motion.
Yeah, I just,
Please allow
that's why
our
I
city
voted.
clerk to continue taking the calling the roll. Thank you.
Did I get ahead of myself?
Councilmember Gasdale.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
Mayor Vasquez.
Aye.
Motion carries on a vote of 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank
We're
you.
moving on to our council member meeting reports. This section of the meeting is dedicated to the oral reports from the city council about meetings attended at the expense of the city. A report should be a brief summary of the meetings attended in your capacity as a city official. As a reminder, we want to be careful to keep these comments brief and to stay within the boundaries of the Burrell Ave. This includes